Welcome to the video tutorial for the latest version of my Ultimate Annual Budget 3.0. This template includes 26 main tabs plus 2 bonus tabs. I know it might look a lot at first, but don't worry, it is fully automated. So once you understand how it works, it will save you so much time in the long run. The bulk of the work will be in the setup sheet, which you only have to do once. Then things like recurring transactions are automated, so the heavy lifting is done for you. As a general rule, please only edit white cells and gray cells. Do not edit colored cells. If by accident you edit colored cells, this message will pop out. Please select cancel. Unless you want to edit it, then you can select OK. You don't have to use all of the tabs, so feel free to hide any tabs you're not using by right-clicking on the tab and then select Hide Sheet. This message will pop out. Feel free to check the box and then select OK to hide the tab. Please start with the setup sheet. First, please set up your 12 monthly tabs by selecting the starting month and your current month. You can start at any date and any month. For example, if I choose to start in March, simply double-click the cell, go to March and then select the 1st of March. Your current month can't be earlier than the starting month. I will change this to in March. So once you've done that, if you go to the January tab, it will automatically be set up as 2026. The same with your February tab, and then your March tab all the way to December will be the 2025 because you selected the starting month to be on the 1st of March 2025. You can also set this up to start on certain dates. For example, if you want to start on the 10th of March, all of the monthly tabs will then start on the 10th and then ending on the 9th of the following month. The next thing to set up is the start balance of your 12 monthly tabs. If you want the end balance of each month to roll over automatically to the start balance of the following month, please make sure to select yes. If you are doing zero-based budget, simply select no. So now for the last one, the default is no. So please always select no unless the date of each monthly tab is towards the end of the month. So if you want to set your monthly tabs to start towards the end of the month, then please select yes. Otherwise, please leave this as no. Now the next step is to write down your categories. The three main categories here are income, savings, and expenses. Simply write down your income categories in these cells here. They are fully editable, so you can delete them and edit to suit your needs. The same with savings and expenses. So for expenses, you have 4 main categories. The first 3 is your recurring expenses, which is bills, debt, and subscriptions. And then the last one is your variable expenses. This is your non-recurring expenses, which are things like eating out, groceries, shopping, and so on. If you need extra rows, simply go to this plus icon here and then click on it. This message will pop out. You can check the box and select OK. And these are the maximum number of categories you can have for this template. And the same for savings. Simply click this plus button here and you have up to 40 savings. If you need extra income categories, feel free to reach out to me. Please make sure not to repeat the same category names across all the main categories. So for example, if I already have council rates here, if I want to save for council rate, please name it something a bit different. As an example, you can call it saving dash council rate. Mentioned in this note here, please do not cut and paste. You can definitely copy and paste, but do not cut and paste because that will create error. The next step is to set up your recurring transactions by entering the amount, frequency. You have the option of weekly, bi-weekly, which is every 2 weeks, monthly, 4-weekly, which is every 28 days, quarterly, biannual, which is every 6 months, and annual. Don't forget to enter your start date. This start date should be the first payment of each category after your starting date here. So for my investment 2, that is biannual, the first payment is in March. So that's the date that I put in here. And then your end date will be automatically populated based on your current month. So in the beginning of each month, all you need to do is to double click on the cell and then select your new current month. Your recurring transactions will be automatically populated to the end date of your new current month. You can set up these recurring transactions for your savings as well as your bills, debt, and subscriptions. For those of you who get paid bi-monthly, which is twice amount, so it's not bi-weekly because bi-weekly is every 2 weeks, this is what you can do. So duplicate the category. So if it's Lisa salary, copy and paste it to the following row. Enter the amount each paycheck to both cells, select monthly as the category, and should be the first paycheck of the month, and then this is the second paycheck date of the month. That's how you can set up bi-monthly income. To enter the date, the easiest way is to double click on the cell and then select the date in this little pop-out calendar. However, if you're using a tablet or mobile phone, you need to write the date. You can write it either in the month format first or date format first. If I want to write it in the month format first, for example, if it's 5th of January, then please type in the month / the date and then select enter. If you want to write it in the date format first, then please type in the date and then without space, just write the first 3 letters of the month. For example, if it's January, then it's JRen and then select enter. So you can write the date in either format. Please do not enter the start date before you enter the amount and frequency. If you happen to do that, this will turn red. So all you need to do, simply enter the amount and frequency and the red will disappear. That red indicates error so that you can identify if you accidentally do that, which means that your recurring transactions won't populate correctly to the payments tab. Now, all of the end dates, even though they're automatically populated based on your current month, you can actually override the formula if, for example, you cancel a subscription. So delete the end date here. You can select OK because in this instance, you do want to override the formula and then enter the date manually. If it's 15th of March, you can type 3/15 and then slash enter. You can also allocate account to each of these categories. Simply unhide this column next to column F here by clicking on the double arrow, and then you can do the same for this one and next to column T in this one. So you can allocate account to each of these categories. But before you do that, to set up these accounts, simply go to accounts and then write down your accounts in this column here. You can also do that for your savings transaction if you want to set up recurring savings from certain account to certain account. You can do that by allocating the accounts to these columns here. And the same principle for all of your recurring expenses. You can also allocate account to each category. For the debt section, you can allocate from account. The to account is automatically set to the category that you write here. Because if you're paying your credit card, for example, I name this credit card 1, you'll be transferring money from this account to credit card 1. So make sure that your credit card names are identical with the names of the credit card that you wrote in this accounts tab. If you have irregular bills, they are not recurring, like car repair bill and home repair bill, simply leave this blank. You still need to write the categories here, and then you can enter this transaction under manual log. And the same thing, if you have irregular income or savings, please write the categories here, leave this part blank, and log your irregular transactions in the manual log tab. To set up budgets for your variable expenses, please go to this table here. You can now set up your monthly budget in this column here per category. To populate this to the 12 monthly tabs, simply check the check boxes here. Once you do that, these amounts will be automatically populated to all the 12 monthly tabs. So if we go to the January tab, if you scroll down, you can find them in this budget column here. So you don't need to manually copy and paste this to all the 12 monthly tabs. And if you need to make some variation to a few categories, simply change it directly here by deleting the formula and enter your amount there. One more feature I want to talk in this setup sheet is the savings calculator. This is a simple calculator taken from the income and amount that you input here. So simply enter the percentage. You can then see the result here. In this instance, if you put 10%, this will be 10% of Sam's salary, which is $160 because I input $16 there. You can then use this as a guide for the amount and frequency you input in there if you want this amount to be certain percentage of your income. Once you have finished setting up your recurring transactions, they will be automatically generated in this Payments tab here. Feel free to hide row 1, which is just a written instruction, by right-click on the row and select Hide Row. So all of your recurring income, savings, and expenses are automatically populated here. Remember, each month you just need to select the following month. So if I select, for example, March, now all of your recurring transactions will automatically populate to the end date, which is the 31st of March. You can see that reflected in here as well. Now, very important, please do not edit column B to column G. I didn't put warning in place to these columns to allow you to be able to filter this table using the filter tools in row 2 here. Only fill out the white cells, which I will explain shortly. Your transactions also highlighted in color for easy navigation. For this color scheme, all of your bills and subscriptions are highlighted in light green. Your debt is highlighted in pink, your salary highlighted in darker green, and all of your savings highlighted in medium green here. So this will make it easy for you to navigate throughout all different transactions. In this tab, you can hide any columns if you want to. So for example, if you want to hide column E to H, you can select all of the columns and then right click and then select hide columns. You can then relocate this by dragging it to the side like this. And you want your variation table to be closer to your payment schedule, then you can do this. So before I talk about the paid column here, all of these transactions in this tab will be automatically populated to all monthly tabs under the projected columns for income and savings, also to the budget columns for the recurring expenses. And currently, because in the setup tab I've chosen March as my current month, they are populating to the budget columns for the month of January until March. So every month, don't forget to change the current month in the setup tab for the recurring transactions to populate to the following monthly tab. So no more entering your budget amount manually each month. You can now just set them up once from the setup sheet. Now, for those of you who prefer to have your budget populated to all the 12 monthly tabs instead of following the current month, you can use the formula here to make all of your end date populate to the 12 months from your starting month. To do that, simply copy and paste this cell here, select Ctrl C and then Ctrl V here. And in the formula here, click on the beginning of the formula and then enter equal to make it a formula and then select enter. As you can see, all of the end date now become 12 months after your starting month. Now for the actual columns, don't worry, currently it's showing red because it hasn't been populated from the payments tab. Red indicates actual income is below the projected or target. Now for the amounts to show up also in the actual columns, please go to the payments tab and all you need to do is check the paycheck boxes. Once you do that, then as you can see, they are now showing in the actual column. Now, if you have variation to this transaction, please use this table here. I'm going to hide this temporarily. For example, things like electricity bill would have variable amount each month. So for this transaction here, I'm going to put the new amount as 140. So as you can see that this amount is now updated. And if I go to the January tab, you can see now that the actual is showing as $140 compared to the budget of $120, which is what I enter in the setup tab. So any variation that you input in the payments tab will be shown in the actual accordingly. It is also highlighted in red because red indicates over budget, so you can quickly identify any category where the actual is above the budget. You can also do any variation to the date, the same with variation from account and to account. Please note that to account is not applicable for the expenses such as bills and subscriptions because this will be to your vendor. The same with income from account is not applicable because this will be from your employer. If, for example, I need to make some amendment to the to account here, I can do it to this transaction, by enter checking to, as you can see, also automatically updated here. The same applies if you need to change the date. For example, if my Capital One debt is not due on the 10th this January, but it's due on the 12th, I can just change the date here, enter the 12th of January, and then it will automatically update that too. So yes, so in summary, the amount, frequency, and start date that you selected in the Setup tab will be populated here in the Payments tab, which is also populated to the monthly tabs under the budget columns. Once you check the paycheck boxes here, any variations that you make here will be reflected under the actual columns. So that's how the budgets versus actual columns work in the monthly tabs. I just like to talk about one more feature, which is the filter function in row 2 here. So in this row 2 here, all of the filter tools that can help you filter either by status. So status is paid or unpaid. You can also filter by subcategory, category, month, year, from account and to account. To do that, simply click on all here. And then if you want to isolate certain subcategory, make sure to press clear first. You can either scroll down or type the first letter. If I want to see rent, check the rent, and then click OK. You can now see all of the rent throughout the year, all the way to December, because in this template, I have set up my end date to the 31st of December. Please note that sometimes it takes a couple of seconds if you have the filter function on for it to populate the transactions. So make sure you only have like the filter on when you really need it, and don't forget to reset it once you don't need it anymore. So to do that, simply select all and then click OK. One thing to be mindful of, once you make some amendments in the white cells here and you've used the paycheck boxes here, if you do have to make a new recurring transaction, for example, I am adding a new recurring bill called Bill 1, please make sure that the start date of Bill 1 should be after the last transaction when you check the box or make some edit. For example, if I edit this new laptop saving to be $200, the last row here that was checked is savings cancel rate. But if the date of my new bill is before that last transaction, you can see what happened, that it's shifted, and that $200 is no longer from my laptop and it's shifted to the emergency fund. So all you need to do is to adjust it. I will check this. I will also check this. So you just need to remember to adjust that, or make sure to finish setting up your bills, including the start date, before you start making adjustment or variation. And if you do need to add new bills, simply add the start date after the last transaction where you make some edits. So for some of you who wants to pay your credit card balance in full each month, what you can do is in the setup tab, for example, credit card 3, I always pay the balance in full each month, enter 0 here. Then in the payments tab, you can see that it's showing 0 here, which means that in the monthly tab under budget will be shown as 0 for credit card 3. Then enter the full amount balance. You can see now that it's also updated. Then to avoid double tracking, because you've allocated all those transactions per category like rent, electricity bill, eating out, and so on. So to avoid double tracking, simply delete this cell here, which is under category. Once you delete that, it will turn red to remind you that this won't be included in all of your calculations. So even if you check the paid box, this wouldn't be shown, but it will still be shown in the calendar. So you can see the due date in advance and how much it's due in the calendar. But it won't be calculated in all the monthly tabs and all other tabs. Next to Payments tab is Manual Log tab. This is where you can enter your variable expenses and irregular transactions. Don't forget to hide this row 1. Right-click and hide row. Please do not enter recurring transactions here. If you have any recurring transactions, as explained before in the video, please set them up from the setup sheet and they will be populated to the payment sheet. You should only enter your variable transactions here. You can also enter things such as irregular savings, irregular bills, and income, and also debt. Please do that by entering the date. Choose the subcategory. Once you enter your subcategory, this column G, which is the category, will be automatically populated for you. Please remember not to edit the colored cells, so do not edit column G. Enter your amount, so for example, $80. From account is optional, but you can allocate account if you want to track your balances. To account is not applicable for variable expenses, so if you accidentally choose something, it will turn red, so make sure to delete that. As you can see, column A, the paid column, is grayed out. For things like variable expenses and irregular savings, the paid column is not applicable because you should only enter variable expenses and irregular savings once they are being paid. However, for things like irregular bill, this is an example. If you have home repair bill that's not recurring, so the paid checkbox will appear only for bills, income, and debt. For savings and variable expenses, they are not applicable and will be grayed out. If by accident you deleted a cell in column G, don't worry, you can easily restore the formula by selecting the cell above or below it and copy and paste it to this cell here. So press Ctrl C and then Ctrl V here. The formula is now restored. You can also filter this table by clicking the little triangle icon here next to each header. One more thing, if you need to add or edit a category from this dropdown, and then the same basically for any dropdown, please do not edit the category here. Always do it from the setup sheet. Once you've done it in the setup sheet, then this dropdown will be automatically updated. And to make edits for the accounts, please go to the accounts tab and then you can do that from this column here. You can also track money transfer between accounts here. Simply enter the date, leave the subcategory blank, enter your amount, enter the account you're transferring money from, and the account you're transferring money to. The subcategory should remain blank. Okay, so let's talk about the monthly tabs in more detail. I've explained previously how the projected versus actual works, so please make sure to watch that part. Once you've entered your data in the Setup tab, Payments tab, and Manual Log, then everything will be automatically populated and calculated in these 12 monthly tabs. In this chart, you can see budget versus actual of your income, savings, bills, debt, subscription, and variable expenses, as well as the progress displayed on the right-hand side here. The progress of total expenses, which is the summary of this, is displayed here. Remaining budget of total expenses is your total expenses budget minus actual. Red text here indicates over budget, which is where your actual exceeds your budget. What's cool here is you can quickly identify from all of your expenses which part that you are over budget. For example, is bills. Then all you need to do is go under bills. You can see that your actual of electricity bill exceeds your budget. You can also see that across debt, subscriptions, and variable expenses. Quickly identify where you might be overspending. But in this instance, my total remaining is still $75. So even though some categories I'm over budget, but overall I'm still good. However, that's not the case with the bills. So you can see here the progress of total expenses is 103%, which means that I'm 3% over budget. You also have similar feature in the income and savings. So if your actual income is below the target or below the projected amount, for example, my freelance job, if I'm targeting $400, you can see that it's highlighted as red, and the same with savings. This table is your monthly summary. You can see and compare budget or projected versus actual. The end balance is start balance plus total income minus total expenses and minus savings. Expenses breakdown of your bills, debt, subscriptions, variable expenses. This one here is my favorite chart because you'll be able to see at a glance the summary of your variable expenses of the actual columns and is sorted from the highest to the lowest amount. Now, if you scroll down all the way to the right, you can also see the daily spending chart of all of your expenses from the beginning of the month till the end of the month. So you can identify quickly what day is your biggest spending day. Then your highest to lowest expenses is sorted in this table here. The percentage is also displayed here. Next to the 12 monthly tabs is your annual dashboard. This is a view only sheet, so please make sure do not edit any cells here. Everything is automatically populated for you. To choose starting month and current month, please go to the setup sheet. This is the annual summary of your income, expenses, and savings of both your budget versus actual. Your monthly income and expenses is displayed in this chart here. This is your monthly end balance, and then you can also view the average end balance to date, your monthly savings here, and your average savings displayed here. Total annual income versus expenses here. And then if you scroll down, you have budget versus actual here, similar with the monthly layout, but this will be of your annual amount. Your monthly expenses, income, and savings summarized in this table here. And the same applies. Red text indicates over budget for expenses, and red text for income and savings indicates that your actual amount is below your projected amount. This will help you identify which particular months you are over budget. You can also see your average per month displayed in this row here. You can also see the details further of all of your expenses. If you keep scrolling down, you'll see the calculation of your end balance of both your actual and budget amounts. So your end balance is your start balance plus income minus savings and minus all expenses. And again, you can quickly identify which month your end balance is below zero. You can then compare it with your budget. Don't forget, you can also see the summary of it in this table here. To see further breakdown of your annual dashboard, please go to the annual breakdown sheet. This is where you can track all of your paid transactions annually. The current month selected from the Setup tab is automatically highlighted in black and gray here. All of these charts here show the amount to date of each category from the starting month to the current month. So you can see the variable expenses breakdown, bills and debt breakdown of your annual amount sorted from the highest to the lowest. My favorite feature here is the total and average of all of your categories displayed in Easy View here. So you can see how much average per month you spend on eating out, groceries, shopping, automatically calculated here. Please note, for this average to be calculated accurately, you just have to select the correct current month from the setup sheet. If you scroll down, you can also see the same information for your bills, debt, and subscriptions. The bottom part is your income and savings. You can now see your income breakdown, savings breakdown, monthly and income savings chart here, and your total versus average of each of your income categories and savings categories. Paycheck dashboard is optional, so if you're not using it, you can hide this tab here. This is for those who want to track their budget per paycheck period. This is now fully automated, so you can choose in here the option of weekly, bi-weekly, or for weekly. In this instance, I'm going to choose bi-weekly. Then all you need to do is select the start date of the paycheck period you want to track. This should be the date when you receive your paycheck. Once you do that, the paycheck end date will be automatically updated based on the paycheck frequency that you choose here. So all of the amounts that you see in this sheet are the total sum for this period. All of the charts work exactly the same with the monthly budget, but instead of representing your monthly amount, they will show the amounts between these two dates. Now, if you scroll down here, I want to explain about the split columns, only applicable to bills, debt, and subscriptions. This feature is created for those who want to split their monthly recurring expenses per paycheck. First, I'm going to uncheck them. So as you can see, all of the bills that are highlighted here, they're currently showing as zero, even though I have checked the paid check boxes for these bills in the Payments tab for the month of January. They are showing zero because in this paycheck dashboard, any transactions outside these dates won't be populated in this shade. So my rent falls on the 1st of January, the same with my electricity bill and my gas bill. They all fall outside these two dates. So if you don't check the split check boxes, this will remain zero because they're outside those dates. However, if I check the split check boxes, for example, I'll do it for all the three of them, it will automatically divide the amount by two. So my rent is $1,600. It's automatically split it by two because I chose bi-weekly here. But if I change this to weekly, first of all, the paycheck end date will automatically update per weekly period, and the same things apply. The only transactions populated in the sheet are the ones between these two dates. However, the split checkbox, instead of splitting it by two, it automatically split it by four because you have chosen weekly. If you've chosen for weekly, again, the paycheck end date will update accordingly to the 4-weekly period. However, the split checkbox is not applicable. So they're only applicable for weekly period and bi-weekly period. Weekly period will split everything by 4, and bi-weekly period will split everything by 2 if you check the split checkbox. Now, to move on to the next paycheck period, simply change the start date here. So if the end date of this paycheck is 16th of January, the start date of the next paycheck is 17th of January. So all you need to do is double click on the cell and then select the 17th. And again, everything will be automatically populated accordingly. Okay, so now I'm in the weekly variable expenses sheet, this tab here called weekly VE. I've created this sheet because I know some of you don't necessarily want to do weekly budgeting, but you just want to track your variable expenses weekly. The same principle with the paycheck dashboard. Please select the start date. The weekend date will update automatically based on a weekly period. If you scroll down, you can input your budget here manually, but currently it is being automatically populated from the Setup tab. You scroll down to the right. When you enter your monthly budget, the calculator here will automatically calculate your weekly budget based on this amount times 12 months divided by 52. So they are being populated automatically here. But feel free to delete these formulas here and enter your budget manually per category. The actual amount will be automatically calculated from the variable expenses that you log in the manual log tab. You can see the remaining here, which is budget minus actual. The same thing noted here. Red indicates over budget, so you can identify quickly which category is over budget for the week. You can also see your spending this week summarized in this chart here, and then your progress this week from your budget versus actual. Your remaining budget displayed here, which is taken from this cell here. To move on to the following week, simply enter the new start date, which is the day after the end date shown here, which is the 13th of January in this case. So if I select the 13th of January, you can see that the week end date is automatically populated and everything else will be updated accordingly. So quarterly dashboard is your quarterly summary. Please select the year and the quarter. You have the option to select the first quarter, which is January to March, second quarter, which is April to June, third quarter, July to September. The last quarter is October to December. Everything else is pretty straightforward. You can see the comparison of actual amount for that quarter compared to the average per month. For all income, savings, and expenses, income versus expenses chart of all the 3 months is displayed here. And the same chart with your monthly tabs, but this is to display your quarterly amount, your quarterly summary in this table here. Actual for the whole quarter compares to average per month and the end balance. You can also see the income, savings, and all expenses chart displayed here for the whole 3 months. Highest to lowest expenses this quarter displayed in this table here. To move on to the next quarter, simply select it here. Remember, this will only be displayed correctly once you've entered your data in the Setup tab, Payments tab, and Manual Log. Let's talk about the calendar sheet. This is your bill calendar where you can view your income, bills and subscriptions, and debt. It's a smart calendar, so please do not duplicate the tab. Your current date will automatically be marked as red. But first, what you need to do is to set up your time zone correctly. To do that, please go to File, Settings. Make sure to select the right time zone here. Please don't forget to select Save Settings. Your current date will automatically be highlighted in red. Now you can start at any day. So for example, if I want to start on Sunday, I can choose the day before, which is the 23rd of February. If I want to start on Friday, I can choose the 28th of February. For the purpose of this video, let's start on Monday. I also want to show you that the bills from the previous month is also shown here. So you can actually see a full view of each week. So you don't have to go back and forward to see your bills from the previous month or past month to see the full week. If I want to move on to April, so all I need to do is double click here and then select the 31st of March. Everything will be automatically populated accordingly. Now to track your payment progress, please go to the Payments tab. If I mark some of these transactions as paid by checking the Paycheck boxes, if I go to the calendar, you can see that they are marked as light gray. So this account sheet is where you can track your bank account balances. Please start with writing your bank account names here. And as explained before, in the setup sheet, you can allocate bank account to each recurring transaction. In the manual log tab, you can also allocate account to each transaction. This sheet will then automatically calculate the incoming total versus outgoing total of each of your bank account based on the start date and end date that you input to each bank account. Don't forget to input start balance as well. If you have any balance for your credit card, please make sure to input them with minus. Your end balance will then be automatically calculated here, which is your start balance plus incoming total minus outgoing total. One more important thing to note, as mentioned here, credit card names in this table must be exactly the same name with the credit card names you entered in the setup sheet under the debt table. So whatever you wrote here for credit cards must match what you wrote in the setup tab for those credit cards. So savings sheet is where you can track all the information related to the savings categories that you list here in the setup sheet. You can see the summary of each savings category displayed here. If you want to see the goal versus save and then also progress, please make sure to input your goal amount per saving category. You can also input your start amount for any current balance you have in your account. For any ongoing savings, simply delete the zero here and then leave it as blank. For example, if I delete this, it will automatically show as ongoing. Your save amount is calculated from the Payments tab, but don't forget to check the paid checkboxes there, otherwise it won't be populated here. Remember, if you have any irregular savings, you can also log that in the Manual Log tab. Everything will be automatically populated for you, so you can see goal versus save in this chart here, your progress, your left to save, total left to save in this cell here, total goal here, and then total save displayed in this cell here. Remember, in the setup sheet, you can click this plus button if you need more saving categories, and the same thing in the sheet, you can also press this plus icon. This message will appear, and then you can check the box and click OK. It will give you up to 40 savings categories. There is savings calculator option 1 table and savings calculator option 2. The first one is to calculate your monthly contribution based on your goal amount and goal date. So your savings categories will be automatically displayed here. The same with your goal amount and start amount. Remember to input this, you can enter them here and in this row here as well. You enter the start date and then the goal date. The number of months will be displayed here, and you can see the result, which is how much your monthly contribution based on those start and goal date. If you scroll down, savings calculator option 2 is if you need to calculate your goal date based on your goal amount and monthly contribution. Say that you have a certain monthly contribution and you want to know how long it takes for you to reach a certain goal amount starting from a certain date. So all you need to do here is to enter your monthly contribution and your start date. This will populate the number of months and the goal date. Now we are in 50, 30, 20 sheet. This is your needs or wants dashboard. This sheet automatically calculates how much of your income from the period that you selected here, how much of your income spent on needs versus wants versus savings and debt. Everything is automatically calculated for you. All you need to do are three things. First is to set up your period here, the start date and end date. Second is to make sure that you log your income in the setup sheet and payment sheet. Don't forget to check the paycheck boxes in the payment sheet for your income to populate here. And then the third thing is to scroll down and allocate your needs and wants to each category of the bills, subscriptions, and variable expenses. Once you've done that, then you can see the numbers being populated in all charts and tables here. You can also input your goal for your needs, wants, savings, and debt. The result of this goal calculation is displayed here. So you can compare your goal versus actual number and then your goal versus actual percentage. The good thing about this is you can now set it up to any period. So if you want to do it quarterly, I can insert the 31st of March here. So now this sheet will show you the needs and wants ratio from your income this quarter. This is your debt payoff tab. The purpose of this sheet is to give you a clear payment schedule using either the Snowball or Avalanche method, so you know exactly what to pay, when to pay it, and how long it will take to become debt-free. The first thing you need to do is to scroll down to row 5 to 4 here. Your debt name is automatically populated from the setup sheet. Please fill out the rest of the information here, which is the start balance, minimum payment per month, and interest rate. When entering interest rate, please use dot, not comma. Credit limit is optional, so only if you want to see your credit utilization rate, you should input credit limit. It's only applicable to credit cards and personal loan. It's not so much applicable for car loans and student loan. So in this instance, I'm leaving them blank. If you need more information about what is credit utilization rate is, feel free to read this note here. The next thing to do is to choose your method. That Snowball is the method where you pay off your smallest balance first. That Avalanche is a method where you pay off the highest interest first. When I selected that Snowball here, as you can see that it automatically sorts the debts from the smallest balance to the highest balance. Then if I change this to that Avalanche method, it will automatically sort the debts from the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate. So if you scroll down, this is your payment schedule of each debt. When you see the amounts getting bigger here, the same with here, is because with this method, once the earliest debt has been paid off, you are allocating the minimum payments that were previously paid towards that debt to the next debt. Then once that second debt has been paid off, you then allocate those minimum payments, which is this amount and this amount, towards the next debt, and so on and so on. That's why these numbers get bigger. The basic principle is whatever your total monthly payment towards the beginning of your debt journey, you are paying that same amount all the way until the end of your debt journey. So if I scroll down, you can see that the last debt that I'm paying end up being $640 all the way until it's finished. even though the minimum payment of this debt is only $60. The purpose of these two methods is to help you accelerate paying off your debts. So each month, simply follow the payments shown in this table here. And if you do that, you can see here when you will be debt-free, which is a lot faster compared if you're just paying the minimum payment for each debt. You can also enter your monthly extra payment here if you want to. So for example, if I enter $100 here, your total monthly payment becomes $740 and you can see your debt-free date is even faster. You can also see when each of your debts will be paid off in here. Then when you move on to the following month, for example, if I move on to March, don't forget to do that in the setup sheet. You can see the previous months will be marked, so that's easy for you to navigate your current month. This column here called Add and Reduce is where you can enter extra payment to certain month. For example, for the month of July, I want to enter $200. Whatever you input here will be applied automatically to certain debt based on this method. If you need to reduce payment, you can also put minus. For example, in this month here, I'm supposed to pay $590. But for whatever reason, if you need to reduce that payment, you can put minus 200, for example, and that will be applied automatically. Your current balance each month for each debt will be shown in this row here. So make sure to select the new current month in the setup sheet. Your progress of each debt shown here. Then you can see the summary of all of your debts here. This is something you want to pay attention to, the total interest until the end of your debt journey, so you can compare between the two methods, how much interest you're paying using each method. When you move on from month to month, it will show you the payoff progress of each debt. When you pay off certain debts, they will show as 100%. They will also be crossed out and grayed out. You can also track the number of debts paid here versus the number of debts remaining. This sheet can track up to maximum of 50 debts. Some extra tips if you scroll all the way down. Feel free to read extra tips and frequently asked questions here to help you get the most out of this sheet. I hope this video tutorial helps. If you need some more guidance on how to use the network tab, bonus tab, and some extra tips on how to use this template, please check out the second video tutorial in the instruction tab in row 4. And if you have any further questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm always happy to help. Thank you so much for watching.